Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayla's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Oh.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. I am the Coach Shannon Griffith, and I will be sitting in for now until Jim joins us a little bit later. And down there in the beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico, and fresh off Indiana's basketball's exhibition win last night, 98-47. We'll get a keen insight to that ball game last night with Jim's synopsis in the Hoosier.com. There was a lot of in-game follow along last night, but we'll get that take as well. And but it got a good show here today. Former Indiana guard Anthony Leal is set to join us. Going to talk about his time in Bloomington. Of course, his appeal to the NCAA was denied, but the young man is now involved in a new venture with a company called Motion Sports with some IU grads, and Mark Cuban is behind that as well. It's helping reshape how athletes engage with fans and businesses through NIL, time management, all the things that you would expect a D1 player having to do, and coaches and administrators alike. So we'll get Anthony's take on that. And then, of course, all the things that goes along with being a college basketball and player, especially at Indiana. So I'm sure Anthony will have some great insight there. Alec Lashley will come along later and join us as well from the Hoosier.com. We'll talk about that game with him as well to get his insights on the game, some of the top performances of last night, and also get a insight to which Indiana football player was labeled a freak. Alec will clue us in on that one as well. And of course, we're just days away from Indiana's first full scrimmage of fall camp. And that will be an important scrimmage that is coming up on Saturday, especially having been through camp now for a couple weeks. Give them a chance to really let the kids go play between the white lines and then evaluate the film afterwards. But there's some position battles that are up for grabs, and that will be a big deciding factor in that scrimmage to see who will or who will not maybe be on the top 11, offense, defense, of course, and then who are going to be in those prominent backup roles on the depth chart. So I'm sure it will be a great scrimmage for Coach Signetti and the coaching staff. But we'll have as much information that we can pass along with that probably early next week. But it is something that is important in the overall preparation for Indiana's Hoosier season. Thank you for joining us here today. Appreciate it. And I appreciate all the comments and suggestions that I've gotten throughout the time that I've been hosting with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And I consider myself still a rookie. Usually I'm on the opposite side of the guy that's running the show and being either the interviewee or in play-by-play, the color guy. So I really do appreciate some of the feedback that I've gotten. And hey, it's one of those things where I'm just trying to stack days, as Kurt Signetti says, stack days and trying to get things better on my own game as well. Colts play tonight, first preseason game. Big game. You talk about a big game in preseason, and I know in the NFL it can get a little bit, I don't know. I've always felt it was a very long season to start with, and then on top of it, you put three preseason games into the equation, and it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be an important game for Anthony Richardson. He'll be the starter. A opportunity for some of the young defensive guys to get a good look to see how they come together under the new defensive coordinator. But all these games in preseason for that 53-man roster is important for a big part of those individuals that have not secured a spot on the 53-man roster. And of course, after these preseason games, you start getting into making cuts, things of that nature. And for some, this may be their only opportunity to play in a quote unquote NFL game. But it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out, who's on the bubble, how this preseason game could ultimately say a lot about the trajectory of the Colts this season. And so it's going to be a ball game that's going to be worth watching, as it will be televised in local areas. I know up here in the northeastern part of Indiana, Fort Wayne specifically, it will be on CBS, which I believe is channel 15 here in our area. But you'll have to check local listings on that, as well as I think the Colts app will have the radio stream, if I'm not mistaken, as well for this preseason game tonight. Talked about Anthony Richardson yesterday. He's been having some really good camp performances thus far, especially in these couple days versus the Ravens. And it's one of those things where with Anthony, you want to see consistency. And then, of course, in the passing game, you want to see accuracy, especially from those short to medium throws that he has struggled mightily with his accuracy with those type of throws over the last year. So it'll be interesting to see how far he's come. And tonight will be that first glimpse of that as well. I do not have an idea of the snaps he will take versus Daniel Jones. But they definitely will value this ball game tonight. Colts wide receiver A.D. Mitchell has had a phenomenal couple days there in Baltimore with their controlled practices and such, and be great to see what he brings to the table as well. And, of course, the other thing is getting to see what this defense will be about for the Colts heading into the season. They've got some injuries a little bit, guys, some banged up guys here and there. So it's going to be an interesting aspect to some of these guys that are injured that may not play are guys that are competing for, starting positions, especially in the Colts secondary. So it's going to be interesting in that regard. Now, rookie running back, Savlon Ahmed, I believe, he was injured the other day by his own teammate in being tackled. And unfortunately, it's resulted in, I believe, a leg break. That was the other day. according to reports, he was tackled with that hip drop tackle, which is illegal in the NFL. And you can see why that has been banned in the NFL. But he will most likely be lost for the year. That's an assumption on my part, reading in between the lines for some of the reports there. But it's a situation you kind of feel for the guy because, his season's lost due to a tackle that should not even be, involved in the Colts practices. But it's understood. It's things happen in contact sports like football, and you're going to have these injuries that pop up that are unfortunate, and that will be one that would be in that category. But I'm interested to see how things play out with the quarterback duel. I'm interested to see how Daniel Jones does, and on top of what Anthony is able to accomplish tonight. And so it will be a great battle between those two guys because the competition at that spot is vitally important to make each other better. And it'll be interesting to see if Riley Leonard gets some snaps tonight, the rookie out of Notre Dame. And he's had some good practices as well throughout camp, mostly with the younger group, third team guys, I guess you could say, but he has done quite well. And the Colts have been very pleased with his progress there in the Colts camp. So that one will be a great dynamic as well. But we'll see how that all goes, and bring you up to date when we can on that. Of course, we always got potentially getting Greg Rakestraw on to have his 2 cents worth. And I know that we may be having Matt Taylor on tomorrow. So he will be able to give a great insight to not only the preseason game, but also the camp in general from the perspective that he has with working with the Colts. We're going to step aside, take our first break here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And after we get back, hopefully we'll get Anthony Leal on here, the former Indiana basketball player, now out in the business world, and we'll get his story as it pertains to the venture he has. All right, here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, Tell them you want the truth, the hard truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Welcome back to the Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I'm the Coach Shannon Griffith. Like I said, Jim will hopefully be joining a little later on from San Juan, Puerto Rico, where Indiana basketball got off to a great start on their little tour that they are on last night, winning 98-47. And pretty good ball game for the most part from gathering for some of the reports and such. And it was a game where Trent Sicily got some valuable minutes in that ball game. And he did a great job. I think I'm trying to see here. He ended up playing about 23 minutes last night, 9 of 12 from the field. And he was 3 for 3 from three-point land, finished with 21 points. So a pretty good night for the young man, getting off to his, first true IU jersey playing for the Indiana Hoosiers, because I know it was somewhat of a lifetime dream for the young man. You like to see that happen when they are able to go out and get a young man like that has a true value in being a part of something at Indiana, and then going out and showing that with a great performance last night. He had a great night. Ristic actually played some. He played almost 17 minutes, had 6 points on the night. Here's a young man that just kind of arrived in Bloomington with very little on-court practice time. And he ends up getting thrown into the mix and, walks out and, gets 6 points, 3 of 6 from the field, and missed on a couple threes. But that young man, from all reports there, it seems that he's going to have a great career in front of him at Indiana. And speaking of Indiana basketball, we're going to bring in Anthony Leal, former Indiana Hoosier. Anthony, how you doing, young man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Well, Jim may be joining us here shortly. I know that he spoke with you a little bit about joining us here today. So you're going to get me for a little bit until he gets on. And I know that the people that are listening as well as watching the YouTube feed were excited to see that you were coming on today. First question, I think, is the most obvious one is, the NCAA appeal process for you trying to get a year back. And I guess from your perspective, because not too many people are overly aware of the NCAA appeal processes, kind of give a little bit of insight what that was like or entailed for the better part of you waiting to see whether or not you were going to be able to play this year.
Well, it's certainly a pain. I'd say they definitely do that intentionally just to obviously try to limit people from taking advantage of it. But, it was supposed to be a lot smoother of a process. It ended up taking a lot longer. And I knew, from the start that it was a little bit of a reach, but there was a decent enough case to try to, make a case for myself. And if it's up to me, I would continue to play for IU for 14 seasons if I could. So
in today's game, it may happen at some point.
Yeah. But, when I've realized there might be a chance, I kind of just had to take it because I would love to have gotten the opportunity to stay again for another year. So I have no regrets about that. But the process itself is a little bit of a hassle in terms of, putting together a case and getting with the Big Ten and then getting with the NCAA and speaking with lawyers and people from IU and just navigating the whole space and not really knowing exactly what's going on because there's not very much transparency or clarity with the whole process. So it's definitely a little bit of a hassle. And, there was another opportunity after the final decision to pursue legal stuff, but that again just draws the process out even more. Could have, taken another 2 to 3, 4 months and
Yeah.
still not have been guaranteed. So by then it's, the season's starting and I'm still in this limbo. So I just opted to just, accept the results and trust God and follow the next step.
Well, I know that, yourself as well as Luke Goody was also in that same boat as it pertains to appealing to the NCAA. Now, on your scenario, yours was that your first year, you end up playing in 11 games that year. Is that correct?
Yeah. And that 11th game was for like 14 seconds at the end of the tournament win that we had. So tried to, kind of explain that whole situation, but obviously wasn't enough.
Yeah. And I don't know what the cutoff is there. After your first year on how many games you can, or redshirt, I was assuming that's what you were trying to apply as, saying that, 11 games for my first year was not that many when you look at basketball as a whole. But they end up saying no to that, which has transformed you into having to go that next step in this whole process of life. But talk about your educational background, because this is the important part as it pertains to student athletes. At some point your career is going to come to an end, and the bottom line is you want to make sure you're walking away with something in your back pocket that's going to take care of you for the rest of your life and go from there. But kind of give us background on your education there at Indiana, because it's, in my opinion, being a student athlete and, knowing the background you had with your educational process, it's pretty amazing with the times demands of a college athlete and top of being a really good academically.
Yeah. My parents preached that to me and my sister since we were really young, but the opportunity to, be on a full ride scholarship for 5 years is something that you can almost set yourself up for the rest of your life with. And I think I've done a pretty good job of trying to start doing that and taking the right steps. But, got my undergraduate in around 2.5 years in entrepreneurship and corporate innovation from the Kelley School of Business. And then still obviously had plenty of eligibility left. So pursued an MBA and ended up getting my MBA in finance this past spring. So, like you said, that kind of sets the stage for what comes after basketball. And honestly, I still have plenty of opportunities to go, pursue professional basketball, whether it's overseas or in different countries. And it's something that, me and my family have prayed a lot about, but ultimately, at some point the ball does stop bouncing. And like you said, the work and, making some sacrifices during my time in college to make sure I maximized all of the educational benefits I could has now set me up for opportunities that, help me not be so lost after basketball.
Yeah. And you said you got your undergrad in 2.5 years?
Roughly. Yeah. Because you
go year round practically anyway, right?
Yeah. We have to take summer classes and everything. So obviously lets you get ahead. And then I came in with quite a few credits because being in high school in Bloomington, there's a lot of classes that
that's right. Yeah.
They transfer with IU. So, set myself up pretty well with that and tried to maximize it, and was hoping that I would get another year so I could continue trying to get like a JD or some sort of other crazy degree. So
yeah. Well, you're getting an MBA as well on top of what you already achieved through the Kelley School of Business. And, my son played at IU in football there back under the Kevin Wilson era. And even though I was a college coach for a number of years and understood that first year is vitally important, you really can't prepare for how fast of a pace it goes until you experience. And that's the one thing with true freshmen, they come in with visions of grandeur. But anyway, that's an awesome feat having that undergrad that you achieved there. And then when when will you finish up with your MBA?
I already finished it.
Did you?
Yeah, I graduated with my MBA in finance in May. So completely done with school now, and seeing where it takes me.
That's awesome. Now, are you going to? I wasn't quite sure I understood you correctly there, but is there the path to play overseas, or is that something you've just decided not to pursue?
There is the path, and we've been in conversations with agents and other teams overseas, whether it's Australia or places in Europe, which does really intrigue me. But it's figuring out if that's the smartest move for me with things I've got going in business and being close to family and relationships and stuff like that. So it's definitely an opportunity. I'm not sure it's something that I'll end up going through with, but it's nice to have that option if so. And obviously I've been continuing to train and work out for that also, just in case that happens.
Well, I know there's some great opportunities in, those overseas leagues. And, for a young guy, it's even the opportunity just to kind of go travel, as well as a lot of former players that maybe don't progress into the professional NBA or the G League. They have that opportunity to go over and play at the highest level in other countries, and, make a pretty decent living at the same time, being able to learn about other cultures and stuff. So I know the attraction there is more than just the ball and the basketball court, which makes it a very, very interesting dynamic for kids to consider.
Oh yeah.
And well, hopefully, if that's the path you choose to go and take a shot over the overseas, man, we wish you the best on that endeavor if that comes along. But
Can you?
oh, there's Jimmy. Jim, can you hear me there in San Juan?
I can.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I can. You guys can hear me. Not very good, as you can tell from 2,000 miles away. It seems like it.
Well, yeah, it breaks up in every once in a while, but hey, we'll adapt, adjust, and improvise. That's what we do here.
Sorry. Getting out here late, I was having trouble connecting, but thank you again for joining us. But Anthony has been a businessman for a while. What developed that entrepreneurship of yours? Because you've been doing things, a lot of charity as well, but that started in that direction, but you've always had this business mindset.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think it's just the ability to kind of control my own destiny and make the most of what opportunities I can create for myself. It's always been something that I've looked to do, just because the whole 9 to 5 and checking into an office every day at certain schedules is not necessarily something that I feel like fits me and my personality. So I think just being able to be creative and being around the right people to help create something great is what really kind of inspires me to just pursue that.
And now I heard him talking about your next moves. You're involved already in a business, but you're also playing in the Never Lose Hoop golf outing. Thank you for that. I know the Hulls family is something they've done for a long time, but you've been involved with. How did, when the Hoosiers for Good was still around and was doing all of that different charitable work, how your future and what you're going to be doing with your alongside of the things that you do?
Yeah, I think it just helped enable relationships and connections with people, alumni of IU, other people around the world, but just giving us that freedom as athletes to take advantage of the platform that we have and the connections and the status that we have while we're athletes, and seeing what we can turn that into. Obviously, Hoosiers for Good does a really good job at, supporting us financially, but also making connections with us in areas that we have, interest, whether it's fashion, entrepreneurship, real estate, business, whatever it could be, music. They're really good at just connecting you with the right people and just really willing to help. So, the guys over there, Tyler, Maria, they're really great people and have obviously set the foundation for things that come.
After playing basketball for so long, I know that you probably had an inkling that maybe this was happened when your most recent application. What was it like when it finally dawned on you that, you know what, this game that I have played my entire life, dedicated it to, is kind of over? What was that like?
I can't say it honestly has fully hit me yet, especially with the opportunity to play overseas and still, being around and working out and still staying in touch with that side of things. I can't say it has already hit me yet. I say in certain respects it has. It's obviously sad not being a part of summer training anymore or anything like that, but it's hit me a little bit, but I don't think it's fully hit me. I think once the season rolls around and I'm there at games or watching the team play, I think that's when it's really going to hit me. Like, I had 5 of the best years of my life putting that jersey on, and it's obviously going to be really, really sad to, not be out there, but it's always going to be love and support from my end. And, I'm just grateful for the times that I did get.
And you have such a unique aspect on it. You and Jordan Hulse both, grew up in Bloomington, got to play for the hometown high school, got to play for the hometown college, which just happened to be a juggernaut. One gets that kind of forever too. That is cemented. Whether you live in Bloomington or Indianapolis, it doesn't matter. That still carries sway around the state, and that's got to be comforting. There's a lot of people out there that care about me and that really want to see me do well.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the love I've felt even since after my career ended has been awesome. I just took a road trip out west, and I'm out in Colorado, Yellowstone National Park, different places like that, and people are coming up to me, recognizing me, saying "Go Hoosiers" or "We love to watch you play," and that sort of thing is really special to me because, like you said, Jordy kind of laid the foundation and the roadmap for me, and I was pretty mindful going into it that I was going to try to lay the roadmap and the foundation for the next version of me, who's hopefully another kid growing up in Bloomington or Indiana that's dreaming of putting that jersey on. So I really feel the love and support from everyone while I was playing. Now that I'm technically a former athlete, unfortunately, but just feeling that love and knowing that there's at least a few people that I might have impacted during my time is something that really makes it all worth it.
This current trip that the team is on down here in Puerto Rico, what do these trips do for teams?
A little bit of both. So, I know it's going to be in the nature of a lot of fans to dive into the stat sheet and care about the scoreboard and style play and this and that. But honestly, it's a lot more just about playing against another team, playing against other people, banging up on somebody else rather than, the summer session is a long time and summer training is tough to, just be out there battling with the same guys every day for a couple months. So for them to be able to play against somebody else and just be in a different scene is awesome from a basketball standpoint. But really, honestly, the whole point is just to bond and get closer as a team, especially in an era where obviously this year everyone on the team is brand new. So they haven't all, played together for 3-4 years like used to happen in college basketball. But it's more of just a bonding experience and getting a chance to play somebody else. And I was looking at, the stats and the updates from the first game, and I would just probably say to people not to worry about the shooting percentages because I've been around a little bit this summer and been with those guys, and they're really talented and they can really shoot the ball. So that's going to come. But for now, it's just for them just becoming familiar with each other and enjoying it.
And you saw the sport go from where it was to where it is. You were kind of right in the middle of all that. What was it like seeing it, and just athletics in general, go from where it was to this whirlwind that we're currently in?
Yeah, I think there's positives and negatives. I think it's really going to start to show who the best coaches are and who, program wise is offering the right things, because those are the people that are going to be able to compete every year. And with revenue share and all this stuff that's kind of leveling the playing field a little bit, it's going to shift back to how well teams can play together and how well coached they are and that sort of thing. So it's been interesting to see how much it changed, and I consider myself pretty lucky to kind of have been right during that transition period, getting a little bit of non-NIL and then early NIL and now kind of more mature NIL eras. But it's really cool, and I think it's going to be exciting. But college basketball is going to be competitive. It gives, some of the best players a reason to stay in college rather than going professional. So it's going to continue to be really competitive, and I'm pretty excited for that.
Coach, can we get you to stick around here? We need a break here, Jim, and bring him back.
Well, that's all right. We'll let him go because he's got things to do. He's a businessman. He's got stuff to get done, man. Anthony, I just want to thank you so much. Hopefully we'll get you back on or as the season starts, and we'll get a taste of what's going on that. But man, I didn't get to cross a lot of the stuff I wanted to because of the late start for me. But thank you so much as always. You have been spectacular, and I'll see you soon at the Never Lose Hoop golf outing.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Taking a break, Coach.
Yeah, we'll step aside. We'll be right back here with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thursday edition here with Jim Coyle, and I'm the Coach Shannon Griffith. Jim down in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where the Indiana Hoosiers last night took care of business, 98-47. In a game that saw a lot of guys get some action, and including Ristic getting in the game last night. I want to thank Anthony Leal for giving of his time this morning as well. And a tremendous young man. And I became a fan of his when there was a video out showing him giving his sister a present, and wish we could have got into that a little bit, but of paying off her student debt via his earned NIL money. So I wanted to get into that because I tell you what you can tell he's a family man and it's important to him, but his relationship with his sister is very strong, and him taking care of her, where he was able to get a full ride and be able to earn some money during his time at Indiana, and then taking what he was able to do via his own branding and paying off his sister's college debt really, really says something about the young man's character, and what a great representative of Indiana University. And, the basketball program, irregardless of who's the head coach, because you never lose your status as a Hoosier basketball player with a coaching change. And I would bet that Coach DeVries would have loved to have him, been a part of this year's ball club. But unfortunately, the NCAA said no. His ability to not get that year back for playing 11 ball games, I know was probably a stretch, but at the same time, it was actually, I think, a legitimate request.
Well, hey, yeah, I mean, you've got to do it until they say no, basically. I mean, that's all there is to it. I wish I would have had this connection a little bit ago, but I'm sure everything went splendidly, but I could hear it, bits and pieces of it, but hate to miss that. But we'll get Anthony on when we get closer to basketball season and start talking more about basketball. There's not really much to talk about. I mean, he has been with them. You heard him talk briefly about him, but the same thing that we saw last night, that a lot of what we saw in practice is that this offense is going to fly, man. You've got to be head on a swivel, and when that ball comes down and they rebound it, it's go. It's like running the all-go route in football. You've got four guys that you've got a quarterback with the ball, and you've got four guys that are doing deep routes. And but by that I mean they're getting down, looking for the ball, looking to make it happen, looking to put defenses in stressful situations. Which that is what is going to be the heart of this team: shooting, but stressing defenses by just being relentless. Taking Conaway on both offensive and defensive is, I used this term last night. It came to me, I tweeted it out, but he is the gas. He's the fuel for this engine. There's no doubt. And that's not a knock on Connor Enright or anybody else, because the thing that is unique about this team. It reminds me, I thought about this last night. This team reminds me of Indiana football in the way that I was surprised that there weren't more known commodities brought in as for the team, but it was guys that Darren DeVries brought in himself that he thought would best run his program, because he has a system. He knows exactly what he's trying to accomplish. And that is what is going to happen. So he wanted and needed the players that are going to do that for him. And so he found, for the most part, the guys he thought to best do that. Tate Conaway is a bulldog, offensively and defensively, but just a bulldog. And that's one of the things Indiana's going to have to be good at. They're going to have to get better at and better at and better at is defense, because they're going to be a little disadvantaged at times. So they're going to have to take the things where they have the advantage and push that, but also wearing teams out. I noticed last night that these guys, right as the half was coming to an end, you could tell, oh, buddy, they were tired to get up and down that court, because they were getting up and down the court because that is what is demanded. So, yeah, but this is early August. Wait till December, January rolls around, and they're doing this. Some teams are going to be in condition, but some teams are not going to be. I'm not saying you're in shape. There's a difference between being in shape for what you do, but being in shape for what somebody else does. And if you're not prepared for that, and a lot of teams won't be, this is going to be one of those areas where they can disadvantage the opposition. So, and the shooting, I was thinking last night, I just didn't want to jinx anything, but I think the free throw woes that Indiana fans have watched for years now should dissipate. Everybody just looks so confident and smooth shooting the ball. This team is together. The camaraderie is real. Ian Stevens, who's a little used player, scored a couple times. The entire team, boy, up off the bench, raising, making noise. You you could tell it was genuine. So, and nobody stood out save Trent Sisley because he's a freshman and led all scorers. But no one stood out because everybody kind of stood out in different ways at different times. And that's no joke. I mean, it was either Tucker DeVries with some great shooting or just being around the ball. It was Tate Conaway doing what I just already said he does. Connor Enright, very similar. Then you've got Josh Harris, Sam Alexis, Reed Bailey. Reed Bailey taking the ball down the floor multiple times on his own is a good sign. So we're seeing more and more because we're actually getting to see some things of this team, but it is early on, and these guys have been together for such a small amount of time that, they can't be judged on anything that happens now. Not that I'm saying there's anything bad, but they've got so much time to grow. All of the rest of this month, August, November, that's when you start playing these games, but they're going to be a completely different team at the end of this month. There's no doubt. And then going on and going on. So they're going to continue to get better.
Yeah. And the best thing about these type of games, you get a lot of guys involved in the ball games, get some minutes under you. Like you said, it's, this is going to help and catapult them into their quote unquote true season come October. But getting a chance to run up and down the court, run the offense, and getting as many bodies on the floor as they can, I thought that was beneficial last night. Trent Sisley played almost 24 minutes.
21 points to lead all scores, man.
Yeah, he had 21, and he was 75% from the field. I mean, 9 of 12. So his shooting ability is no joke either.
Well, you better be able to shoot on this team, or you're if you ain't first, you're last, kind of a deal. A little Ricky Bobby action, but no. All kidding aside, buddy, if it's not you, somebody else is going to let me knock it down. And I don't mean that they're only looking for 3-point shots. They're not. They're looking for the best shot. The ball moves around. It moves in. It moves out. This is a complete. Fans are going to enjoy this. They're going to enjoy watching this team. There were complaints about so many fans not enjoying watching their team play the last couple of years. Defensively or offensively, it seemed like that there wasn't a plan other than, hey, let's cram the ball inside. That's not the case any longer. Win or lose, I think India fans are going to enjoy watching this team because they're going to play their butts off defensively, and the offense is going to be fun to watch because it is going to be high octane.
Absolutely. I mean, that's his, that's the way he's been as a coach from Creighton through his 1 year at West Virginia. It was a up and down the court, taking, good look shots, not forcing them, like you said, but being in a position to take shots that are high percentage in the eyes that it's a good look, and not just throwing something up for the sake of throwing it up, but, getting the ball and the ball movement. I don't know how much of this offense, and maybe you can answer this better from the basketball tradition and history, but I've heard some have compared his offense similar to what Coach Knight ran with the motion offense type of scenario. But I don't know how you would classify it or not, but it would seem to be there's a little bit of that flavor, I guess, in the way he runs the offense.
Well, there's been some of that talk, but I'm going to punt for one day until Todd's on here tomorrow with us and let him talk about it because he can speak directly to it. He played in that night offense, and I'm sure he'll say there are some similarities, but there's also some dissimilarities. There's just different ways to attack. You have different types of players. I don't know if they're doing the same exact thing, if they're working off the cuts, if they're letting those decisions dictate what happens on offense. But there are some similarities, but it's such a high, fast-paced offense, and with ample three-point shooters, which they had in Todd's day. But I'll wait and let Todd answer that one with a much more emphatic and authentic answer.
Yeah, and, we need to step away, get another break in here before we bring on Alec Lashley from the Hoosier.com and have some questions for him. I'm sure he'll have some ideas of last night as well.
We have a few minutes before he'll join us, I think. So, I am looking forward to getting his thoughts, but and seeing what he thinks about him, because it's just such an unknown commodity still. We were fortunate to get to see him in that open practice, and for those of us that made the trip here, got to see him last night at the arena we were at. And then now the next two games, though, they're coming up against this Serbian team. This should be a test, and a much more accurate test. Indiana was bigger than the Universidad team last night, and that's saying something when there's been so much talk about Indiana maybe lacking a little bit of size. So they were the bigger team, and they still ran this team off the boards, man. I mean, they just ran them off the court, not from an aspect anything other than they ran. They wore me out watching them go. I'm telling you.
Enough.
Well, I asked both Sam, Alexis, and Trent Sisley when the post game. I said, "Were you guys anxiously waiting for the halftime buzzer to ring?" And Alexis says, "I know I was," because they were, but that's because every time it's the same thing. There was no lagging, no loafing. Nobody had to get on anybody. Hey, get down the floor. There wasn't any of that. It was bam, go. So speaking of which, now take them to break, boss.
Take a break here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. When we come back, hopefully have Alec on, but we also have some great video by yours truly on the backside here on the Indiana Sports Beat Radio Network.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So, no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. I'm the Coach Shannon Griffith as well. Jim is in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where the Indiana basketball got off to a great start on their 3-game tour there. And like Jim was referencing, have the Serbian national team coming up tomorrow night, correct? Is that tomorrow?
A 3-game tour, 3-game. They were stuck on an island with 3-game tour. There we are, stuck on an island. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention, you remember the heat dome that we were all living under for like 3 weeks there in the Midwest? I found it again.
Yeah, I bet you did.
If this is what it is like here all the time, unless I got to spend a lot of time in the water, don't know if I could handle it. It is just, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. You ever heard that before?
Well, you got water all around you.
What? No kidding. Can't go anywhere without water, but can't swing a dead cat without hitting water. But Google there's a problem, an ecological problem. It's been around for a while, where this algae that grows and that is natural, that it started from the upper North Atlantic back in the day, but it's spread out and it's reaching way down into the Caribbean, into the Gulf and all that. And it just lines the shores and it floats across in big massive bodies. It's like big hunks of seaweed floating across there. But as I was flying, I'm like, is that what that is? Right? I could see it from the air. And I was like, wow, you could just see it. And then now, last night, I just walking around, walked down to the beach. It's just everywhere. It's just kind of a shame, but I was just looking for a spot to step into the water. This was late last night. I just want to feel the water, man. It's surrounded by water, like you said, and I can't get to it because of this stuff. But I'm sure there are areas where you can. But I finally, after all, that was exercise. I broke out in a serious sweat doing that in that humidity. But the water felt amazing. But yeah, it's a shame that is attacking everywhere. But hopefully we'll get that resolved.
Yeah, and Brian corrected me, and I appreciate it. It's not the Serbian national team. It's actually a professional team that comes out of Serbia as well. And appreciate that correction, as I misspoke and said it was a national team. We got some clips from last night. You want to I can put up here a little bit of the game itself and some highlights that you I think took of the game last night.
And if you could resend Alec the link, I think he's in the wrong place.
Okay, we'll take care of that here, and I'll throw that up first, and even you can give a little side-by-side.
Dayton Conaway just being in the right place always at the right time. He's so fast. Speaking of the devil, no, that's not Dayton. I can't tell. Everybody getting involved in the action. These are actually IU highlights that they shot provided for us.
Okay.
But the overall theme, though, that everybody was involved. I mean, everybody touched the ball. Everyone shot the ball. Everyone had shots. Everyone got involved defensively. It was just an all hands on deck type of thing. And I think it's going to be that way for this season. It's going to be different guys on different nights playing different teams that are able to step up and be the guy on that particular night, whether it's they're having their night or sometimes because of matchups. But one of the things this team is going to be able to do is find a weakness on other teams because of the versatility they have on this team here. So it's going to be fun. I was thinking about like a team like Purdue. I'm like, okay, I know what they have. And I'm like, boy, I cannot wait to watch Tate Conway get up in Braden Smith's grill, just from the standpoint of watching that competition and see how that is going to go. And same for Connor Enright and Fletcher Lawyer, and either Sam Harris or Josh Harris or Sam Alexis or whomever it is dealing with someone like Trey Kaufman-Wren. So this team is going to be able to play with those types of teams. And it's going to be entertaining to watch.
Well, you could see some of the getting up and down the court there that you spoke of. And I could say there were some guys running out of gas there a little bit as they were getting up and down the court. But we got Alec Lashley joining us now from the Hoosier.com. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good afternoon to you from the sunny slopes of long ago. No, just kidding. But yeah, Alec's got a great understanding of what this team has. I've been talking about it, Alec, and how it is a team that kind of reminds me of the football team, because there was no certain star that stood out, because everyone will contribute in their way at their time, and did over different stages of the game. It was different players making different types of plays, and that is going to be the theme of this team going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing that, coming into this year is you kind of knew what you would get out of Tucker DeVries and what you would get out of Lamar Wilkerson. Neither of them shot the ball well last night, but you could see the depth and versatility and the multiple different lineups and guys who could go get a basket any given possession. And I think that's the biggest thing is you don't want to take too much away from last night. You don't want to take too much away from this week in general. But the biggest thing is the versatility that these lineups will have. And this is something that we've talked about ever since the beginning of summer workouts in June, right? This is what Darren DeVries has talked about: multiple ball handlers, multiple playmakers. And you saw that last night with the ball movement, the cutting, the tempo, the ability to push the ball. Reed Bailey, his ability to get a rebound and go. Trent Sicily has that ability, right? Whether it's Tate Conway, whether it's Connor Enright pushing the tempo, you have Tucker DeVries, Lamar Wilkerson, right? The list goes on and on of guys who can get a rebound, push the ball, and you're not being staggered and kind of, cement-footed, right? Waiting on your point guard to take the ball up. And that's the biggest takeaway that I think you can have is truly the versatility from a ball handling standpoint that you have at multiple different positions with numerous guys who can just grab the ball and go. And that's what this offense
includes Reed Bailey.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the first name that I mentioned, because he has the versatility coming into this year to be that kind of, X factor from a versatility standpoint, where not a lot of 6'10" forwards have his ball handling ability, his shooting ability, and his rebounding ability, right? So when you have all three of those things and you can pass the ball and you're relatively skilled in that way, that gives the offense an entirely different dimension. And look, he's not going to be a guy who's going to average, 5, 6, 7 assists a game, but could he have them? Absolutely. He showed that at Davidson. I think he had 3 or 4 last night. But he's a guy who he just makes smart, high IQ plays. Him and Trent Sicily are very similar in that way, where you're not going to have to run a lot of plays specifically for them. They're just going to find ways to score. They're going to find ways to create. I mean, Trent Sicily had 9 field goals last night. Outside of the couple of threes, right? Most of those were on offensive rebound putbacks or just getting out in open space in transition. Right. So, with him and Reed Bailey, I think those are 2 guys that from my point of view, was good to see from the standpoint of you're never going to have to run a specific play for them. They're just so skilled and so smart in multiple different ways that they can kind of fit in no matter what you're doing. And they're really, really good pieces to have around guys who are going to see the majority of the shots in Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson, regardless of if those guys make it or not, which we saw obviously last night. They struggled a little bit.
Yeah, there was one play that stood out for me for Reed Bailey when he grabbed a rebound and just took the ball the length of the floor very confidently. As he got to the paint, kicks it out to Connor Enright, who puts up a 3 that doesn't go down, but Reed Bailey is there for the rebound and at his defender in bad shape because he's dictating the style of play and the pace of play. He grabs the rebound for a putback dunk. And so that was a perfectly encased what he does. Push the ball, kick it, rebound it, dunk it.
The phrase you said there was dictating the pace of play, right? I mean, this is one thing that we've talked about for Indiana for years now, is you need to play a more up-tempo, quicker style of basketball and have teams react to how you're playing. Indiana's always been the reactionary team and trying to then force things and force the tempo because they need to create more possessions. The ball movement of the team this year is going to be so different than anything I think Indiana fans have seen previously because they're almost too unselfish. And I think it was Darren DeVries talked about it last night after the game. It was specifically a Connor Enright play where I think he had an open layup and he kicked it out for a three, and then there were two other passes. And they are passing up good shots to get not even just great shots, but wide open shots. And so that's when I think if you look at just the box score, right, you're going to see, what was it, maybe 28, 29% from three last night. I think they still ended up making 8 or 9 threes, which is, let's be honest, more than they averaged over the course of the last probably 8 years from a game-to-game perspective.
Music to Todd Leary's heart, let me tell you. I assure you.
Exactly. So, like, they were hunting threes, and that's what you want to see in this type of environment because, I think we were talking about it last night, Jim, and I'm sure you've mentioned it so far this morning. The front court from Indiana is not going to be the strength of this team, but last night that could have easily been the strength of this team just with the size advantage that they had. And so you want them to see what this offense can actually look like from multiple different angles instead of just force feeding the post every single time, because they probably still could have scored 100 points if they just pounded the ball into the paint every single possession. But you want to see that ball movement and that continuity and that chemistry happen from a perimeter standpoint. And so I think that's the really positive thing is Darren Reese talked about it too, is, everything that they had practiced in the first 2 months, they saw last night. And that's the good thing. You want to be able to put everything in practice into the games. Just because they didn't hit a couple shots, that's probably on Saturday, right? They're probably going to flip the script and shoot 45% from three, right? That's just how it works. And in these exhibition games, right, where you're doing, I know they were out kayaking, I think, earlier in the day and doing some other excursions, right? So they're going to be a little bit more tired. This is not just a basketball trip. So to just look at the shooting percentages is unfair, right? Because Lamar Wilkerson is not going to shoot 2 or 3 of 10, 3 of 11 from three most nights. And so the fact that he still hit 3 threes, still had 12 points, got to the line a couple of times, right? Still actively drove to get into the lane and I don't necessarily think he forced a lot. He maybe forced a couple of shots just to try to find a rhythm. But a lot of these shots that a lot of these guys had were coming in rhythm in the flow of the offense and off of multiple different passes, multiple different ball reversals. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? I mean, when you look at this team, there's going to be so much movement, so much passing, and so much offensive activity that it's okay if they miss some open shots because they're probably going to get it back 1 or 2 possessions later.
Yeah, Coach DeVries, he talked about Lamar Wilkerson. He goes, hey, man, he'll have a night where he goes 2 for 20, and I don't care. He goes, keep going because he's going to have nights where he's 18 for 20. He said, this dude can shoot the ball. He said it's rare for him to have off days like that. So, again, music to Todd Leary's ears. He is just going to absolutely love this and this aggressive style of play and shooting the ball. Put it back up because these are guys that hit these shots. These are not just 3-point shots. There's a difference between just shooting the three, but using the three to your advantage. And all of these guys can shoot. Every one of them. I haven't seen how Reed Bailey is out there, but that's not his forte yet. But he can shoot the ball as well. But everybody else, lethal. You can't leave any one of them alone.
No, absolutely. It's interesting, right? Because obviously we didn't see Nick Dorn, or we're not going to see him most likely for this week. I think the bigger question mark now is kind of what this backcourt looks like, moving forward. Because Jason Drake, obviously sat out of the open practice that we were able to sit in on last week. It seemed like it was more of a minimal issue. He didn't even make the trip to Puerto Rico. He's sitting out the whole week here. So we'll have to see what happens there. But now you have a lot of questions about what this backcourt really looks like, which seemed to be one of the deeper kind of positions and interchangeable positions of this roster so far. Obviously you get Alec Lashley, who joined the team late and then obviously joined Wednesday night and was able to travel, and he got in and showed some good things, right? His versatility, both being able to play on and off the ball. But, this is when these trips really matter the most, right? Because regardless of what happens with Nick Dorn and Jason Drake, no matter how long they're out, when they come back, if they miss any time at all in the regular season, right, you now have 2 months here in the summer. You now have this whole week and then any fall practice moving forward where Alec Lashley is getting a lot of lineup rotations. You have guys like Connor Enright and Tate Conaway who are now going to be able to play not only together, but in multiple lineups. But I think the question still remains is kind of what this backcourt looks like if any of those guys, right, are out for a longer term period. And I think the concern right now is just kind of what happens with Jason Drake, because I think he was kind of slotted in to be that third point guard at the moment when he committed and throughout this, the early parts of the summer. So we'll see what happens there. But I think you got to be excited about just the overall makeup, again, of the versatile lineups that you can put together, and really not miss much of a beat there.
No, I was thinking about that last night as I would look out there at times. I'm like, well, look at this lineup, this group of guys. Now look at this. This is a whole different set here. But the functionality was the same. Attack, very attacking. Defense, attacking. I mentioned Tate Conaway earlier. He's like a bulldog. He literally is just a pest. And I mean, he's going to, as the season progresses, get better and better. I'm sure he's early on. He's going to pick up some fouls because of his aggressiveness. But this is going to pay great dividends, I think, for Indiana as the season goes on, because that guards are not used to that kind of relentless pressure. No one is, because it is really stagnating to you if you're trying, basically stopping what you're trying to do. And he does a pretty damn good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, both him and Connor Enright too. Right? I mean, you heard,
right?
I think it was when you were talking with him at the open practice, right? And you asked Tate Conaway who's the best defender on the team, and he quickly said himself with a smile. Then he asked, who the second one was, and he went right to Connor Enright without even taking a second thought. So when you have 2 point guards who are that tough, that gritty, that energetic, that is a huge confidence booster for the rest of the team, because that's going to get people going as well. And I think it was right the second possession of the game, wasn't it, when Conaway had the steal at half court there, and then went right up for a layup full court there. So he's going to have relentless pressure, and he averaged, I think it was 2.9 steals last year, 2.1 the year before. He's a guy that's just going to get into passing lanes. I think, like you said, right, he's probably going to be a little bit over aggressive at times and pick up some kind of unwarranted fouls. But the biggest thing that I think was a standout from Conaway's play was his ability to shoot the ball yesterday. And again, this is one game, right, where this is not going to be like he's not going to miss a shot the entire year. But the shooting was the biggest question mark for him coming into this season for Indiana, is whether or not he was going to be able to be just a consistent 3-point shooter, not a great one, because he's, again, only going to be probably, 6th, maybe 5th at best of total attempts, I would guess at this moment, from 3 over the course of the season, just because you have so many guys, Josiah Miles, who didn't play extremely well from a shooting percentage and a scoring impact last night. You obviously didn't see Nick Dorn. Jason Drake is another guy who shoots a high percentage of threes. So as long as Tate Conaway can just shoot in the mid-30s, that's going to change a lot for his offensive game, because he is a drive-first slashing point guard who can then create for everyone else on the floor. And now as a defender, if you have to watch him hit, I think he hit 2 or 3 threes last night. If you have to see him hit 2 or 3 threes, right, that's going to create a whole new dynamic from Indiana's offensive perspective to be able to have to guard that and I think really change the outlook of what Indiana can do from a point guard scoring position.
Yeah, and we talked about Trent Sisley earlier, and a great night for him as well. It looked early on, he looked like a typical freshman. He was trying to get his feet wet. He was looking around and maybe a step behind here and there. But boy, once that first shot went down, that three dropped, it's like, there goes the switch. It flipped, and man, it just changed everything for him, and he really got involved. And there's going to be times where he's probably going to end up guarding Kaufman-Durant in a game for whatever reason, on a switch or whatever. And this is a guy who has got years as an advantage playing in the Big Ten over Trent, who's older, who's been around. And so Trent's going to have to face up to some of those challenges this year. But he's up to the challenge, but it's going through these battles right now that will get you there.
And it's going against 22, 23, 24-year-olds who have been in college for 4, 5, 6 years, right, over the last 2 months. I think that's the biggest thing is when you listen to all of his teammates and the coaches, right? I think it was Connor Enright maybe who said that, he came in and he was college ready, right away. I mean, he was ready to make an impact, and that's something that you don't typically see at a freshman. But I think it just shows you just the hard work that he has and the confidence that he has. I think last year paid dividends for his long-term growth and playing against that high-level competition and practicing against that game in and game out and day in and day out to be able to translate to Indiana right away. And so I think he's not going to score 21 a night. You don't need him to score 21 a night, but I think yesterday showed that he is extremely confident in what his role is, and that is be a high energy guy, play the way that he always has, bring his high IQ to the floor every single possession, and he's going to find a way to get you 8 points. The ball just finds him, and it always has, and it always will, because he's that good and crafty and that smart on the floor. And that's a positive thing to have from a guy who's probably going to be your potentially fourth player off the bench, right? And that's where I think you have to take a little bit of a step back and remember that, again, this is a team that Indiana completely had outmatched from every single spot on the floor. And Trent Sisley is not going to have that type of scoring output every single game. But to see that and to do it game one, that's where the confidence, and that's where you can take that and really kind of skyrocket moving forward from a personnel standpoint.
Well, you see the ability, most importantly, most of all, that it's there. So, and it's going to grow. And like you said, no, the other team was disadvantaged. Indiana was bigger than this other team was, which, says a lot, but it wasn't just that. It was the other things. It was getting up and down the floor. It was being aggressive. It was doing all those things. And he was able to take that confidence and use it in that manner. Now, next up, the Serbian, was it Bet Big or Super Bet? The name
Mega Super Bet. Yep.
Mega Super Bet.
Sounds like that parlay that you've been cooking up all week.
Oh boy, yeah. I'm off the parlays, man. I've learned my lesson.
Because you miss on number one, and then it doesn't matter what happens the rst.
I love parlays, baby.
I'll hopefully stay away from them. Not that I'm a big bettor, but it's always the downfall. But this team should pose a much more of a challenge. What should we expect to see in these two matchups? Because Indiana is going to play this team 2 times. So after the first time, or however it goes, there's going to be a sizing up, tail of the tape. But what should we expect with these matchups?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be probably more of a physical and more skilled team. Just from top to bottom, Indiana's going to have to play, I think, a little bit better from a ball guarding position, on ball defensively, just because it's a more skilled offensive team in general, right? I mean, it'll depend a little bit about who they have available, but typically Mega Superbet has had some very talented NBA type players or very, very good international players, right? So it's going to be a much higher level of competition. And that's why they typically play these games, second and third, right? You want to get the first game kind of out of the way, get your legs underneath you, get a little bit of those first game jitters out, and then go to a higher level of competition, which they're going to do. And I think just the biggest thing is, what happens if, this team starts to miss on those threes to begin the game again? Are they going to press a little bit? Are they just going to continue to do what they've been doing over the course of the last 2.5 months? And that is move the ball, push the tempo, and play unselfish. And I think that's just going to be the biggest thing. As long as they do that, this team is still very skilled and better from that skill level perspective and just overall athlete perspective. And so they're going to be able to kind of out athlete them. But it's the biggest thing is you just want to see them take what they did in June and July and what they did in game one and build on that and do the exact same thing and repeat that process over and over again. Because that's what this coaching staff is looking for. And that's exactly what we talked about and what everyone has talked about going into this week is just being able to say that, hey, we put the system in place. We followed exactly what the system says we need to do from a scheme perspective. And then the shots are going to fall. And that's the only thing that I think you really need to follow is if they don't, do they start pressing a little bit and do some of those guys? Does Lamar Wilkerson try to seek out a couple extra shots? Does a Tucker DeVries kind of force the issue, which I don't think he necessarily would because I think he nearly had a triple-double last night with his ability to pass the ball and rebound the ball. But do some of those other guys start to kind of seek out a few extra shots that are kind of out of the normal offensive flow? I think that's going to be the biggest question.
Yeah, Tatum Conaway is a guy that produces by being spectacular sometimes, and I think Coach has even mentioned that sometimes gets a little fancy. I saw him do that once during the game last night when it was in hand. But sometimes you can't help yourself. But also, I'm looking forward to seeing if they can dictate the terms with a bigger, stronger team. Can they do what they did last night? Can they force? If they force the pace, man, it's going to be fun to watch regardless. And that's what I said earlier. Indiana fans are going to enjoy watching their team this year, win, lose, or draw, because they're going to play defense. They're going to get up and down the floor. They're going to shoot the three. It's incorporated into the offense. It is not the offense, but it is incorporated deeply into the offense. And that is a great thing. And the fact that you're never going to know who's going to have a gigantic night. Or it could be someone like Tucker DeVries who has a big night but quiet, but he has a triple-double because he's doing so many little things that keep piling up. And that's the thing that I think this team is going to bring is, well, the versatility is the word that you've used that I have to copy because that is it. They are so versatile. You don't know. You don't know who the weapon's going to be. And earlier I mentioned it reminds me of IU football last year. They brought in all these different guys, but they ended up all being able to contribute in different ways and very, very solidly and very effectively. And as the season goes on, these guys are talented enough to do that very thing.
No, absolutely. And I think the guys, right, the biggest thing that you want to have coming out of this week as well is really a lot of these roles to start to form. I think everyone kind of knows what these roles are, but I think you're looking for who's going to be that third scorer, right? Is it going to be consistently Reed Bailey? Is it going to be consistently Tatum Conaway? Is it someone else, right? Is it Nick Dorn when he comes back?
That's the thing, though. I don't know that it's consistently going to be that guy, this guy, whatever, because of the versatility, because of the talent of these guys. I think that's going to be a revolving door.
No, absolutely. But I think you want to try to figure out kind of what those tiers are going to be, right? So you can look at a guy like Reed Bailey or Tatum Conaway and say, okay, maybe we have Lamar Wilkerson's having an off night. We need one of you guys to step up. Then, if one of them is struggling, then you go to kind of that third tier. But you're slowly going to figure out where these tiers are of who is going to impact the game the most. And then you may have those wild cards, right, where Trent Sisley comes out of nowhere from a scoring standpoint. Or, Connor Enright hits 3 or 4 threes one night, right? Because you do have that much of an ability from top to bottom and from a versatility standpoint. But I think that the biggest thing is you need to have a consistent third scorer, no matter who you are in college basketball, no matter what your team looks like. And I think that's you need one other guy to be able to kind of hang your hat on, and doesn't need to be a high volume shooter or high volume scorer, right? It could be Reed Bailey, who just averages 10 or 11 a night, or Tatum Conaway, who averages 10 and 11 a night, but you know that you're going to get that any given night, and he can still go and get you 16, 17, 18 when needed.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for me to see Trent Sisley in these next two games, because he is going to be going up against some 24-year-old guys who have been around, that can beat and bang. And so if he can hang with those guys, that is going to be not only impressive, but it's going to be very encouraging for Indiana to have that coming up, because you already have the guys above him, but to have that kind of backup, to have that coming off the bench with that, I hate to use the word inexperience, but inexperience at the college game at this level. So he's getting a baptism by fire, and he's handling it all very, very well. Every time he's asked to take a step, he takes the step. And he takes it successfully. He's not forcing things. He is letting them come to him. He was being too unselfish last night early on. He passed up some shots that he could have easily taken, but he was more inclined to get the team going until he get that shot of his dropped, and then he just kind of fell into the groove. And I think that different players do it different ways. Some guys want to shoot their way into the groove, and some guys wait till it just falls in there like the ball on a roulette wheel. But either way, however it works, that's the thing. When these guys it's like all these gears turning in sync.
No, absolutely. It'll be exciting to see, I think, the next two games, and again, get a little bit more to actually kind of fall back on, right? One game is fun to talk about. Once you get a second and third, you start to see a couple different trends, but at the end of the day, no matter what, right? I mean, this trip is just about getting out healthy and building more of the continuity with each other on and off the floor. So you can kind of check off the first box and now move on to the second.
Absolutely, and we'll have more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio from San Juan, Puerto Rico, as will the Hoosier.com. So make sure you are going to the Hoosier.com, because all the breakdowns, the film, the highlights, everything is there for you. They're trying to get Todd Lurie involved in it as well to get some play breakdowns. So appreciate you, my friend, as always, and we will see you soon.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one.
Absolutely. Hey, that is going to wrap it up for this portion of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coach is going to take us to break. We're back with more right after this.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming, or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coach Griff actually has the wheel. I've just kind of been backseat driving on him here for the last little bit. But
no, I like it. I like it. You and Alec had a great breakdown of everything Indiana basketball, which I thought was very informative. Alec's take on some things that lends his expertise into the equation. And, of course, they do a great job, all those guys at thehoosier.com, with everything from basketball, football, you name it. They do a great job.
Alec couldn't make the first game, but he'll be down here actually tomorrow. So we'll have even more of that together, so which would be great. But they've got tons of it at thehoosier.com, the highlights, all the interviews post-game with Coach DeVries, as well with Trent Sisley and Sam Alexis. So you can go there for all of that breakdown as well, and plenty of it. What else is going on in the world, man? I feel like I've been caged away from everything a bit, which sometimes is a good thing, but it's not like I've purposely tried to disassociate myself. It's like it just happens. You're running around. You're going from here to there and jumping on this flight and then getting in an Uber and first going on Google to say, hey, is Uber safe in Puerto Rico? And learn a few tricks. And one of those was checking the plate number. I have checked the driver's name, checked their photo and the plate number. I've only done one of those, the plate number, every time. I'm looking at this plate number. Is this my car? So that way I know. But things have been great.
Yeah.
Other than hotter H, it's been HAFE.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been HAFE.
Yeah. There's another word, an acronym I could throw together, but we'd get banned. But
that's okay. We're in the Caribbean. I was looking up last night on a map, and I'm like, good God, we're further south than the bottom of Mexico and many other places. And I was just, comparing along the longitudinal line. How do you say that? But we're down here, man.
Yeah, you're close to the equator. Yeah,
I'm thinking. If you back in the day, if you got shipwrecked on one of these islands, you're here. It's over. I mean, you're here. Start cutting down some palm trees and cracking open some coconuts and drinking it and getting a spearfish and all of that like Castaway. But man, whoo.
Well, I guess the big question, and not that you've seen much of, San Juan, and that is, have they recovered from, the hurricanes that went through there? And
you know what? I've seen no hurricane damage, but I have, like you just said, I haven't been inside of a circle. But last night we were in Carolina. Spelled like Carolina, but in San Juan and in Spanish, it's Carolina. That's the town, the area where the arena was last night. That's, further, I guess that would be east of where we are in San Juan. Mm-hmm. And then the Roberto Clemente Coliseum is also just a little bit east of us somewhere. So it's not that far away. But yeah, I haven't been out. I haven't even been to old San Juan. I've done nothing, as a matter of fact.
Well,
but
you came in with no sleep for 24 hours.
Adding to the total. We're still adding to the total, man, unfortunately.
Well, we came on this morning, one of the things I pointed out, and usually me and you are dialoguing here anyway from my normal time slot. Saturday is going to be a big scrimmage for this Indiana football team. It's their first chance to really get a good look at 11 on 11 and an opportunity for probably some young guys to show what they can do or can't do. And it will start filling out that depth chart as they head through camp here, already getting ready to shut the book on this week with that scrimmage 11 on 11 on Saturday. And I always said these are the type of scrimmages that either you're going to find out your young man's ready at this level to play, or he's going to possibly need some more seasoning and possibly be considered a redshirt candidate heading into this 2025 season. So pretty important scrimmage Saturday.
Yeah, and just like, today we've been talking about Indiana basketball they're early on. You got to give them time. They've got, the rest of this entire month alone,
Right.
August. You've got all of September. You've got October. They've got 3 full months of yet to go. Football is not there. They're way ahead of that. So they don't have that luxury. They don't have the luxury of time. They don't have the luxury of more development. It's here now. So like you just said, who's going to step up? Who's going to start to define their roles? So the Coach Signetti and everyone else knows, all right, who am I going to look to right now? Who am I going to look to set the pace for whomever to challenge for that spot or to challenge for the backup? Because in football, very few people play every down. And well, even in basketball, you don't play every minute, but it's in football, you just have, seems like a little more interaction sometimes because of the more physical nature of it, but you need more bodies. There's more positions to fill. So you have to make sure you have that depth, and depth in football is crucial. And that is something that has been Indiana's bugaboo for quite some time. Hopefully we're still with you. And if not, Coach can.
You're still there, a little frozen right at the moment, but that sure will come back. And you're correct in the assessment of these backup positions, part of the top 22 on offense or top 22 on defense. A scrimmage like tomorrow is very valuable for not only Fernando in that respect, but more so Alberto, and seeing where he's at in this equation.
Wait a minute, you mean Fernando Mendoza?
Well, that one, but more so his younger brother, Alberto
Mendoza.
So that we see where his progression has become. And, of course, Grant Wilson in that mix as well at the quarterback position. So it'll be interesting to see that progression, or how they feel about that progression when the opportunity to talk to the media comes next week, and see where they're all at with that. And we've talked about this young man before too, EJ Williams. This is a vitally important scrimmage for him, number one.
Yeah, because we talk about Omar Cooper, we talk about Elijah Surratt, and those are this is not going to be just a 2-man receiving core. And EJ Williams is one of those guys that has the talent. He's a known commodity, but it's his opportunity to step up and insert himself into this offense and make him a weapon, make himself a target.
Well, yeah, and he can be that guy that can be invaluable in situational offense, especially in the red zone, just due to size alone. But we've seen him make plays. We know he can make plays. It's just a matter, can he stay on the field and out of the training room? And knock on wood that Saturday is a very clean and injury-free scrimmage, because that's in the back of your mind as a coach. You have to do this for getting guys in game shape, getting the number of reps so that they can go a 7, 8, 9, 10 play drive and not have the mental lapses that causes mistakes. That's a part of this equation too. And you have to do it, which means you have to hit and tackle. So it will be a critical first scrimmage for a lot of individuals, as well as, offense, defense, and continuity. And, Roman Hemby, here's a guy that's transferred in. Everything has been so positive about him and his way he handles himself on and off the field. I think even Sig has been pretty well impressed with the young man. Well, let's see what he can do when he's the only guy out there in between the white lines with that offensive line that we think is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, he's going to have to do more than run the ball. He's going to have to block, as is whomever they bring in or whoever turns out that is better at that. But you can't give that tell. You can't run your offense with the same guy in the backfield as a blocker, because defensive coordinators are not exactly stupid. They'll pick up on that. So you've got to have more than one guy that can do that. But he's one of them, and but also a weapon at the same time. All these guys can be that weapon. They can all be a distraction, or they can all be a blocker, or whatever the case may be. And it's steal a word from Alec from basketball, versatility. And there's some of that to this football team.
Well, I believe I know that Coach Shanahan believes that the three running backs that they do have gives them versatility in the passing game, because their ability to be a vital option in the route tree for being able to go out and catch balls. So that gives them something maybe they didn't have as much last year. Forgot to ask Alec this, because he had something as it pertained to Mr. Black, him being on the freak list of football players.
You know what? I saw that list, and then later saw that he was on it, and I hadn't had a chance to read it yet. He's not the guy I expected from this team to be on there.
Well, he is an impressive specimen from a weight room perspective. His squats, I believe, is well over like 500 pounds, and he's just an animal in the weight room.
Well, and we saw that when was it? Was it last spring or was it last year in a game? But he, I think, caught a pass, just a short pass, maybe a 10-yard pass across the middle, and gone. It may have been a run. It may even have been a run. I don't know. But all I remember is, the Jets came on, and it was bye-bye birdie.
Absolutely. And that kid, you think about the last year, he got a lot of repetitions early on as the third team guy. And then as the season went along, they kind of went to more two-man rotation. He was utilized in situations probably like third and short or down in the goal line region, but wasn't getting a normal rotation of being in, the running back rotation. His opportunity too in this competition to be out there and saying he is one of the top guys in the running back room is also his priority for Saturday too. So many opportunities there. And I think it'll be a great chance to head into that next week with some, positive energy, as they like to say. And I'm sure Sig will give them Sunday off as their one mandatory off day in camp will probably be on Sunday.
Well, and as much as I've talked about how much time this basketball team has to gel, they've got this month, and they've got that whole month, and then they've got that month. And then I said, football doesn't have that, because today is what, August 8th? August 30th. Yeah. August 30th. Game 1 is that close now. We're 3 weeks away from that first game, 3 weeks from tomorrow, or Saturday, or I guess 3 weeks from this Saturday is game 1. So you talked about the importance of this scrimmage, but it's also they're going to use this as a gauge to go towards that date, to move forward. All right, this is how we're going at the moment. This is what we see. And, unless someone challenges someone for a spot to take over or just become the backup, a lot of that's going to come out of this scrimmage.
Yeah. And again, it's a opportunity for, guys that maybe have not gotten an opportunity, that have been in the program, to show what they can do. And then, of course, the young pups, especially a kid like Baldwin and, some other guys that they may look to help in situational scenarios. But secondary, wide receiver, you name it, defensive line, you never know who may step up there. It's interesting to see how they come together as a unit, Hosa Wheeler and all those guys.
You got the Beatles song in my head. Come together right now as we go to break. Got to take our last break from Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you, and Coach Griffith along as well. We've got more coming up. Back with it. I'm in San Juan. He's back in the land of Indiana and the Bison. We're back, and we're back after this.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you. I am in San Juan, and I am Jim Coyle. Coach Griff with us as well. He's got the wheel today and has been doing a marvelous job, and we'll be back with you again tomorrow and even further into next week as we continue coverage of Indiana basketball in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but so many other things going on. Tomorrow on the program, looking forward to the return of Matt Taylor from the Colts. I don't know if he's ready for his weekly return just yet, but we'll see. But I want to talk to him. I want to get him. Don Fisher returns to us in a couple of weeks as well. And speaking of that first football game that week, he will return to us on Mondays. And I've never heard anybody do a better impersonation of Don Fisher than Matt Taylor. And I want to, unbeknownst to Don, I want to have Matt on, but kind of off camera, where his camera's just blank. And as soon as we come back, I'm going to try to get either Matt to either bring it back or just kick it to him and have Don's mic muted. And so Don can hear Matt welcoming Don talking to Don. I want to get Don Fisher talking to Don Fisher is my ultimate goal on that time. So we'll talk to Matt about that tomorrow and see if get him set up to do that. I think that would be fun and a fun way to kick things off. But Matt,
fill you in on the preseason game tonight as the Colts take on the Ravens, and there's a big scrimmage or a preseason game tonight for them. For Anthony Richardson, he's starting, but Daniel Jones will play in a competition that right now is heating up. So he'll be able to give you some great insight.
Yeah, and how well does Anthony Richardson have to do in this, or is that going to be dictated by how Daniel does in his outing when he gets to take the reins? Although he'll play in this game, and you'll probably see a good amount of him, as a matter of fact. It won't be early. It won't be the ones on the ones, 1v1. So, but the next game will. And everything I've heard is leaning towards Anthony Richardson, which is scary only in the fact of I haven't really heard that, oh, he's killing it. Oh man, he's the guy. No doubt. It hasn't been that kind of a conversation. So the fact that it's a battle, it's like someone, used the old adage in the comments yesterday, I think, when you have two quarterbacks, you have none sometimes. Now and I thought about that. I'm like, well, that wasn't the case for Ohio State a few years back when they won a national championship using 3 different quarterbacks, one to take the team undefeated during the regular season, one to win the Big Ten championship, and a third to win the national championship. With Cardell Jones, good God almighty, what is that man doing today? He was a beast of a man, and for him to be a quarterback was just crazy. But 3 different quarterbacks at that level of success, but not just that level, to step in at the time needed and to do that is depth, people.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Cardell was a bust in the next level in the NFL. But yeah, big preseason game. They've been practicing with the Ravens for the last couple of days. A.D. Mitchell's had a great showing down there as well. And it's going to be interesting to see how their defense plays, because there's a lot of question marks there with the new DC. And, how as good as the offense going to be. That's going to be a key component as well. But that's going to be something to watch tonight on your local
it's a good team to go against to find out, because the Ravens have just, for years, they have been known for a ferocious style of defense. I don't think that's changed, because Harbaugh is still the coach, and he's been he's been a very, very, he's done a consistent job of success there. That has been a very, very stable franchise. You've got Lamar Jackson. You can stop right there. You want to talk about freaks list? That dude's still on a freaks list, man. Gosh, I remember watching him in college live, and he just you couldn't hit him. You couldn't get a clean hit at him.
No.
He's there and then he's gone. And I mean, like that. And we're talking in college, it's not the pros, but these guys are pretty good. Could not get a clean hit on him.
Yeah, right.
Still to this day in the NFL, he doesn't take a lot of hits. He may take a sack, but when he runs, he's not taking a lot of hits. He is just he's like a snake, man.
He is. And before we head out of here today, I invite all those here to join me tonight on the Hoosier Tailgate via thehoosier.com. We're going to finish up the 4-part preseason schedule look at the last 3 games. And I tell you, if Indiana can hold serve against that 3-week period against Illinois, Iowa, and Oregon, they could potentially go into that last 3 games versus Penn State with only 1 loss and playing
Well,
for
possibly none. I mean, I don't want to get crazy. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but I'm also not going to say that it's not, because, that's a really tough stretch. Illinois, Iowa, and Oregon, 2 of those on the road. But, hey, I'm not going to shortchange this Indiana team. I've seen what they can do. Yeah. I'm going to wait and see what happens as we go along, because I'm not going to Heather Dinich it. I promise you that. I'm going to give them every opportunity and the respect that they deserve, because they earned that respect last year, and they're just not getting it yet. So, but that's okay. I'm going to give them that respect. And that's why I hope people understand. I don't do the fandom thing, but it is a respect. If I believe it, and I see it and I believe it, I'm going to say it. And I definitely think that is the case for Indiana football. They're being slighted. I've said it time and time again. You think this defense is not as good as last year? They got the anchors back. This offense is better. These coaches have gotten better. They've gotten a year of Big Ten play under their belt. Even Cignetti, he may not ever, acknowledge it, but hey, he's got a year of Big Ten coaching under his belt. And now he takes that step up with a tougher schedule. It all matters, people. It all matters, and it all comes into a successful run, I think, for Indiana football this season, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue to finish up the schedule, looking at those 3 teams as well. Colin McMahon will join me as well this evening to talk some IU football and what he's observed at practice. So tune in at 7:30, all on thehoosier.com. And, of course, on my X channel, you can find me there. And I'm getting the thumbs up to send Jim to the beach and me back to work. Honey-do list. So thank you for joining us here today. And also those guests that we had, Anthony Leal and Alec Lashley. Until tomorrow, we will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.